Kill Bill.
Yes,
Set it off.
Listen, we could keep it going for a minute. We'd be here for a while. I don't know if you have time for me to run down your credits.
Take a quick look at all of the work that Vivica A. Fox has been doing these last decades, and you might get dizzy. She's working. She started out as a Soul Train dancer before moving into the world of soap opera, which later transitioned her for primetime television and big-budgeted movies. Now, she's fully in her own power as a producer. She's already on her 20th film in a franchise for Lifetime, and there's so much more to come. We chat.
It has been on and popping since the late 80s for you, Vivica Fox, in this industry. I love learning that you actually started out as a Soul Train dancer. I did not know that before. But when you first, decided that you wanted a career in this industry, what were your expectations for yourself?
Gosh, for me, wow, I started off modeling, believe it or not.
Yeah.
When I tricked my mama and moved from Indianapolis, Indiana, to California, my main goal is that I wanted to get in show business. When I was a senior in high school, I got infatuated with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross. And I was like, oh my God, where do they live at? And it was California.
Yeah.
So when I first got out here, I went to college, I did my little thing, but I would sneak up to LA all the time to, I would do modeling photo shoots. And then one day my friend said, let's go to Soul Train. I was like, Soul Train? Well, I went there, honey, and they picked me to dance on the risers the first time. And the second time I went, girl, I got to do the scramble board. So yes, y'all.
That was a fun fact that people, I'm sure, did not, know about you. But then you decided that you wanted to do more than do the scramble board on Soul Train. You wanted to actually, invest in yourself and be a part of this industry. At what point did that change for you? And what did you see that made you know this was something that you could be part of?
Wow. Oh, that's a really good question. I started acting. It's probably the first time that I went broke, child. I had been on a soap opera and had some money in the bank and thought I was rich. I think I had $25,000 in the bank and the show got canceled. Well, baby, living in California, I went through that money just like that. So I'll never forget that. I literally started waiting on tables again and started knocking on the door again. And as soon as I was ready to quit, it was like the phone started ringing again with jobs. Yes.
Yeah, you were an early actor who really took advantage of wanting to produce the work that they helped create, the work that they starred in. I noticed that a long time ago. At what point did you decide to say, I want this kind of power and I want to actually be an EP or a producer on the projects that you guys also want me to act in, and what kind of started those conversations for you?
Yes. Well, for me, it would be my business partner, Lita Richardson. And I share that in my book that I wrote, Every Day I'm Hustling. You have to build yourself a dream squad. If you want to be in a business and have a career, not a moment, a career.
Yeah.
And Lita was my manager at one point, and then she turned into my business partner because she said, listen, you're starting to greenlight these projects back to back to back to back. You should get a producer credit, which means another check. And that lit me up, Chad. I said, oh, yes, another check with it. Because your name and your casting, you're working on the script, doing wardrobe, damn near hair and makeup, that you should benefit from everything that your brand is bringing in.
I love that. And what was that like for you? Because I think a lot of times people who are outside of the industry see the power in the visibility. But as we know, there's so much power, being in those rooms. I mean, because that's where the decisions are made. How did that change things for you as an actor once you became full-fledged a producer?
That I could be in control of the product that I present to my audience. And that was important to me because the one film that changed everything for me was Two Can Play That Game. Two Can Play That Game was the first time that when I got out of the limousine that night, I saw starring Vivica A. Fox. And I took that moment in and it was like, wow. And it was it was something that I never wanted to forget. That night when I saw starring Vivica A. Fox, it also should have said produced by, because I did everything in that film. I turned the film down 3 times because I didn't like the language. I didn't like the way we loved each other. I hated the stereotypes. And I turned it down. I was like, nope, not doing it, not doing it, not doing it. Because I was coming off of Independence Day and old food and all this and the third. So I fought them about everything. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Trust and believe that. So with that was what a producer does. The producer helps to produce the project. And I should have got that one then, but I got one when we did it. 3 can play that game.
Which I have seen. You know, I definitely love that franchise. And I love the other franchises that you've been a part of with some of the really biggest directors, you know, in the game, both with Independence Day and also with
Kill Bill. Yes. Set it off.
Listen, we could keep it going for a minute. We've been here for a while. I don't know if you have time for me to run down your credits. But what lessons did you learn about Hollywood, especially, you know, being part of films like Independence Day and Kill Bill?
Oh, I learned from the best. Working with F. Gary Gray, Latifah, and Jada on Set It Off was, I grew as an actress. Because F. Gary Gray pushed us and expected nothing but excellence. Will Smith in Independence Day, baby, we was doing push-ups and sit-up contests because he was like, oh no, we're going to have Body by Jake going on. Yes, honey, Tarantino. I trained for 5 months, especially the first 3 months, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like I've worked with the best that was like, when we do this, I don't want anyone to say that we left out room not to be good, that it has to be excellent. So I've worked with the best who's gotten the best out of me.
You know, I love that you brought up Set It Off, because I just had a very long, I won't say an argument, but it was really like an interesting, very passionate discussion with some girlfriends about Set It Off and how good it is and how much it still resonates right now. And someone said, you know, this film, why is no one trying to remake it? And another friend was like, the same original cast could today go back and remake Set It Off all these years later. Tell me about the resonance of a film like that, because especially when you think about the conversation we're having nationally about Black women too, like this film feels very 2020, like even more so than it did when it came out in the late 90s.
Agreed. That's an excellent point to make, but I don't think it should be remade. It's a cult classic. Trust me. If we had any idea how much people would love it, I guarantee you F. Gary Gray would have killed all of us.
So now, of course, all of your work brings us to this new film that you have airing on Lifetime, The Wrong Cheerleader Coach. You also produced this film as well. Why was this the right project for you?
It's called So Wrong It's Right franchise that has just turned into binge-worthy movies that people just sit up and enjoy and like, and they tweet me and let me know how much. They're like, Vivica, is you running Lifetime? And I said, no, I'm not. But Lifetime, let me just take you back real quick, was the first network to give me a starring role in a series, Missing. And so I've always had good relationships with them. We did that. It did great. Then I brought y'all some strippers with Vivica's Black Magic. I was making it rain every Wednesday for the ladies. And so now we have the Vivicathon with the So Wrong It's Right franchise. The latest one that's going to be coming out is called The Wrong Cheerleader Coach. That's not me, y'all. I am the head cheerleader coach, Coach Burke, who happens to meet John, who him and his daughter have just moved from Chicago to California. And the daughter tries out for the cheerleading team and makes it. Well, honey, my assistant on the team falls in love with the daddy. And I'm just going to tell you, it is one old thriller that you got to watch, because I'm always checking and keeping things in place. And I love it because this is my 20th film with Hybrid Films and David Ducato and Lifetime. And I'm just so blessed. And we got more coming too after this, a Christmas film coming up as well.
What is Vivica A. Fox, the producer, like? You know, you're very much part of the creative too of these projects that you also star in, right?
Absolutely. I'm involved with everything. My phone rings on a consistent basis when we do the films, from wardrobe to casting to script locations, COVID. And when it comes up every time and I'm laying in bed watching, it says produced by Vivica A. Fox, I just like, God is good, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that we're seeing, especially in this season, women like yourself being very vocal about the election of 2020. I see in the background you have a shirt talking about it. And I know that you have always been politically involved. I mean, I can remember being back in Detroit and hearing you on Detroit radio stations telling Detroiters to get their butts out and vote in local elections. So talk to me a little bit about the importance of using your platform in this way.
Recently, with the exposure of police brutality, the death of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, we are finally paying attention to the fact that these people that, it's not just a president or vice president, or your mayor and a governor, it's your community. You know, I tell everyone, especially with this election, get together with a group of friends. Go down the complete list of the ballot that comes for your community, for your local government officials, for propositions that are coming through. Pay attention to everything, because when things happen and you don't like the result of it, if you didn't vote, if you didn't have your vote counted and your voice heard, how can you complain? Correct?
Yeah.
And it's good to see everyone this time really discussing things. Politics, used to be for them. No, it's for all of us, because it's for those people that got sprayed by water, bit by dogs, beaten, for the right to sit at a lunch counter, and for us to have the right to vote. It is respect for our forefathers, for us being the leaders of our country now, and for Generation Next. If we want to keep going forward, we must vote. We must pay attention.
I always love talking to you, Vivica. Thank you so much for stopping by and chatting today. I do appreciate it.
You are so very welcome. And to everybody out there, I just want to say to y'all, vote, 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 and much love to you, sister.
Coming up next, Jay Ellis.